Actually, Gashago has replaced Raila Odinga as the one man around whom the elections will be rotating.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am strongly convinced that come 2027, there will be a demand from Kenyans for Rigathi Gachagua to fight for president.
The far Gashago has gone, Uhuru cannot manage to take the mountain and give it to Matiang'i or anybody else for that matter.
Right now, as we speak, there's a notion that we don't want another Kikuyu to become the president of the Republic of Kenya. Such talks have been engineered by William Ruto's allies. We all know that. Where you hear sentiments like, there's no community that is greater than the other.
There is no superior community. There is no superior region. There is no superior religion.
Where you hear people literally even mentioning the people of Mount Kenya in various occasions across the country.
Iko kabila moja hapa Kenya ambaye kazi yao wamependa uongozi sana kuliko kabila zingine zote.
But also, in every election that we hold in this country, it is not that Kikuyus stop people from vying for president. They don't stop anyone from voting. It's only that they come together, use their numbers, come out to vote and elect a leader. So therefore, there has been a reason as to why, ever since independence, we've had 3 Kikuyus as presidents of the Republic of Kenya. Now, considering the factors that led these people into power, I am strongly convinced that there's nothing that stops another Kikuyu from becoming the president in 2027 or even after 2027. Why am I saying this? First, if you remember William Ruto's times, when he was being accused of being corrupt, others actually who are working with him right now said there is a thief. People came out calling him names. William Ruto went around the country. He did his campaigns. He campaigned seriously. He came up with very nice slogans. He actually came up with very interesting manifesto. He went to the people. He associated himself with the common mwananchi a lot. By 2022, the people had started viewing William Ruto as also a president of this country, a potential president. Right now, as we speak, Rigathi Gachagua has been accused of being actually a chief tribalist because he's fighting for the people of Mount Kenya. According to me, it is normal, first of all, to solidify your base before you go to the rest of the country, which is very important. Anyway, there could be true that he is a tribalist. It could be true. But the fact remains that there's no big allegation that Rigathi Gachagua has which William Ruto did not bear before. There's no one. When we talk about an allegation, you remember when William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta were elected, they were actually having cases in the ICC, cases against human rights, where people were killed in 2007. If people were able to put that aside and still vote in President William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta by that time, ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing that stops Rigathi Gachagua from becoming a presidential candidate and probably win an election in this country. Now, apart from that, I have specific reasons here that will make Kenyans demand Rigathi Gachagua to be at the ballot or even become the president of the Republic of Kenya. That is going to form the basis of my analysis. But before I take you through, if this is the first time you're watching my videos at Mokwa Times, please take a second or two to subscribe, like, and comment, because that is the best support you can always give this channel. Ladies and gentlemen, my number is always here for those who want to engage me, talk to me, encourage me on how to do better analysis, and most importantly, support the channel. Feel free to do so. Let me dive into this topic without much wasting of time. Number one is the courage that Rigathi Gachagua portrays. In William Ruto's times, it is not going to be easy. When the Gen Zs came out to protest against some of the things that are happening in government, people got abducted on broad daylight, cameras watching, and also actually, even common mwananchi watching in the streets. The abduction happened both to the young leaders, young Kenyans, just youths, and also even renowned people, including Alfred Keter. Ladies and gentlemen, That was a way of intimidation, so that the agitation that was coming up to go down. And indeed, it bore fruits to some extent. Ladies and gentlemen, as we speak today, you all remember how people were counted during the Sabasaba, the 25th of 2025 June. You all remember how people were counted in the streets. At least deaths occurred. In every place there was a protest or maybe a demonstration of any kind, someone died. Those are some of the things that are happening under this regime, from the sense that the politics of this country is not going to be smooth at all. So therefore, for someone to make it to the president, win an election, or campaign vigorously in this country, there must be an element of courage in him. And Rigathi Gachagua has demonstrated beyond any reasonable doubt that he is capable of facing the storm. Show me any leader right now who has done what Rigathi Gachagua has done, and we can comfortably count on in 2027. Not even one. It's only Raila Amolo Odinga. And in fact, he has surpassed Raila Amolo Odinga in terms of courage. Recently and yesterday, I did a video on that. He announced to come to the country and he was threatened to be arrested. Regardless of that, Rigathi Gachagua came. That's courage. When he was going to Meru, and in fact, in Meru, he had one of the most successful tours he has ever had in politics. In Meru, there were goons all over. He went to some streets. Goons were there, but in fact, those goons joined him in the campaigns. Ladies and gentlemen, those goons were meant to stop him from proceeding with his tour. But Rigathi Gachagua said, wait for us, we are doing what? We are coming. That is courage. Ladies and gentlemen, in every place Rigathi Gachagua goes, there are goons. Most of the cases, they are goons. You remember we went to church at Temweki, we also goons going to church. But because of Rigathi Gachagua's security that is swift, it enabled, actually, they were able to manage the goons. You saw when the DCP party was being launched, or maybe unveiled, you all saw what happened. Goons really went there to attack them. Ladies and gentlemen, you saw yesterday when he was coming from the United States of America, goons literally bounced on their vehicles and even some of their leaders were injured. Ladies and gentlemen, in every place Rigathi Gachagua goes, there are police barricades all over. And the fact remains, Rigathi Gachagua still manages to escape. Also, we've had some of the close allies of Rigathi Gachagua, including youth leaders like that one of, I think, Muranga, who were arrested. But still, Rigathi Gachagua has not backed down. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a sign of courage. That is what is needed in the current political terrain. Tell me one single leader right now in opposition who has done that. Now, when it comes to 2027, Kenyans will look at the courage this guy has demonstrated, and they will definitely demand him at the ballot. And I'm not talking about Mount Kenya people. I'm talking about Kenyans. Unless another leader comes out, shows the same courage, same aggressiveness, and then we'll have him challenge Rigathi Gachagua. Ladies and gentlemen, apart from just the courage that he shows, we have something that we call being the voice of Kenyans. Before, we had Raila Amolo Odinga being the most popular person in the country, controlling almost half of Kenyans, half of the Kenyan population. Ladies and gentlemen, Raila Amolo Odinga was loved by the people. He was very popular. Do you know why? Because he could speak on behalf of the people whenever things go wrong. Right now, as we speak, who speaks on behalf of Kenyans when there are extrajudicial killings? When there are cases of corruption? When there's grabbing of land? When there are bad things happening? It is Rigathi Gachagua. It cannot be possible that someone speaks on behalf of Kenyans, transforms the politics of this country. Then when it comes to an election, is put aside and someone is elected or chosen. It's almost impossible. Or is told, stay aside, let me support Kalonzo, support Matiang'i, support someone else. It is not going to be possible as such. Kenyans will sit back and ask themselves, wait, who has been there for us? Ladies and gentlemen, another reason as to why I feel strongly that Rigathi Gachagua might be compelled to be at the ballot by the people of Kenya it's because of his firebrand type of politics. We all know that when William Ruto speaks, the only person who counters him, it is Rigathi Gachagua. When he says, I've done this, Rigathi Gachagua comes and says, no, you are lying, or you did not do it, or you did it this way, not that way. It's only Rigathi Gachagua who faces President William Ruto head on. And if people want an alternative to William Ruto, they will not look at someone who has been at home, who has been relaxed. They look at somebody who has been facing President William Ruto. And that is the character that is needed. I don't know what is your take as far as Rigathi Gachagua is concerned, but I am strongly feeling that there's something that he will do that will completely finish the tribal mark that has been put on him by President William Ruto and his team, or probably he has put on himself. And when he does that, it will be done. I don't know what is your take, but I feel strong that the tribal thing cannot stop Rigathi Gachagua. At the airport, the member of parliament for Banisa was there, and this gentleman spoke. Apart from that, there were other leaders from the Muslim community who said the person who has a problem with Gachagua, it is Aden Duale, and it is not the people, the Muslim themselves. I don't know what is your take, but on the comment section, feel free to share with me your opinion. My name is Abel Mukwa. See you next time for more videos.